One major development going on now involves more to do with Rachel Zegler and her attitude towards South Park Studios and Paramount after learning about what they are planning for their upcoming special called the DEI Special.
When Disney announced their live-action remake of Snow White, they expected the usual mix of excitement and skepticism. What they didn't anticipate was that their lead actress's comments would trigger a controversy so explosive that even South Park would mock it on national television, or that their $200 million 0 cents project would become the centerpiece of Hollywood's most heated culture war.
The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway. And that's when I start to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced. And finally, I want to scream, and I'm like, why are they replacing every single character with someone who is diverse?
Right. The trouble began, innocently enough. Rachel Zegler, cast as the iconic princess with skin as white as snow, sat down for what should have been a routine promotional interview. Instead, she delivered words that would haunt the production for years to come.
Exactly what they're doing. And that is why we hate the diversity, equity, and inclusion casting and writing in movies.
I was scared of the original cartoon, Zegler admitted, her tone dismissive of the groundbreaking 1937 classic. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. It was so weird. But she didn't stop there. It's no longer 1937, she continued. She's not going to be saved by the prince. She's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Now active involves more to do with both South Park Studios and Paramount, and what they recently did toward both Zegler and the Disney company for their Snow White film. It turns out that both Trey Parker and Matt Stone are already preparing for the DEI special that is set to serve as a sequel to the Panderverse.
Social media erupted overnight. Longtime Disney fans felt insulted that their cherished childhood memory, the very first feature-length animated film in American history, was being dismissed as weird by the very actress chosen to embody the character. Others backed Zegler, arguing that modernizing outdated stories was precisely the point of these remakes.
Snow White is the first American feature-length animated movie, 1937. It's one of the most beloved movies of all time.
What might have remained a typical internet debate soon spiraled into something much more problematic. Sources inside Disney reveal that tensions had been mounting between Zegler and her co-star Gal Gadot, cast as the evil queen. The pair reportedly avoided eye contact at industry events, and rumors swirled that Zegler had complained about Gadot hijacking crucial scenes with improvised lines.
Even if everything worked perfectly, it would have been almost impossible for this movie to succeed, because you're comparing it to one of the most beloved films of all time and a truly groundbreaking movie.
Just as Disney executives scrambled to contain this first wave of negative press, the unthinkable happened. South Park, the animated series notorious for its merciless satirical take on pop culture, aired an episode featuring an unmistakable parody of Zegler and the Snow White controversy.
Our rights are on the line, folks.
Bitch! The right to buy Cosby sweaters?
Come on.
That's the face
Go
of a
vote blue.
serial killer.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
The show's version portrayed a caricature of Rachel berating everyone around her, voicing over-the-top criticisms of the original film and proclaiming that the new production was about saving society, all while ignoring the opinions of her co-stars and fictional Disney executives. In one particularly cutting scene, the Snow White character was shown having a meltdown when she discovered the evil queen was stealing her spotlight.
You don't particularly see people who, look like me or are me playing roles like that. So it was definitely, when it got announced,
White!
He wasn't a stalker, by the way.
thing that was trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry.
Within hours, clips from the episode went viral. Hashtags like Snow White Fiasco and Rachel Zegler began trending alongside references to Bob Iger's leadership and Disney's broader troubles. Internet users who had only been vaguely aware of the Snow White remake controversy now found themselves fully invested in the drama thanks to South Park's comedic framing.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White.
That laugh.
That is
Not going to be saved by
You
the
wrote
prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Industry insiders reveal that Zegler was livid about the parody, feeling blindsided and unfairly characterized. Sources close to her claimed she believed the comedic take was cruel painting her as an unhinged diva who despised the original Snow White. She reportedly considered issuing a public statement clarifying her stance, but was pressured by Disney to remain silent, a strategy that only intensified speculation about behind-the-scenes chaos.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you.
The firestorm couldn't have come at a worse time for Disney. Bob Iger, who had returned to the CEO role amid corporate turbulence, was already dealing with underperforming releases and anxieties over recent Marvel entries. Now one of their most expensive upcoming projects was being ridiculed on a mainstream animated comedy.
It was supposed to come out like a year and a half ago. And then we went after them so hard because of their variety of ridiculous sins that they actually went into full-scale reshoots on Snow White when we announced that we had a competitor.
Even more concerning for Disney's leadership was the sudden cancellation of multiple promotional appearances featuring Zegler. A planned Saturday Night Live performance in costume was reportedly scrapped. A musical showcase scheduled for Disney World mysteriously vanished from the calendar. Each time, official statements cited scheduling conflicts, but insiders insisted Disney was simply afraid to let Rachel speak freely, fearing she might make additional comments that would fuel the controversy.
It was the first animated film that had the kind of Disney magic that had depth, that had absolute, it was riveting, and it's based, of course, on a Brothers Grimm story.
This apparent muzzling of their lead actress only added another layer to the growing public relations nightmare. Some viewed Disney as bullying Zegler into silence, while others saw it as necessary damage control after her initial remarks. Either way, the lack of a coordinated response fed the rumor mill, with fans filling in the blanks with increasingly dramatic scenarios.
And this started with the movie star Rachel Zegler, who I believe would be categorized as a loudmouth dope.
Behind closed doors, Disney executives were reportedly frantic. Their once reliable strategy of adapting beloved classics seemed to be backfiring spectacularly. Heated debates erupted about how to handle Ziegler's outspokenness. Some argued for embracing her vision of a modernized Snow White, while others pushed for traditional elements to appease longtime fans. No consensus emerged, and the resulting paralysis only heightened the sense of corporate panic.
As an actor, you don't get to dictate anything. You don't get to dictate if a film actually happens. You don't get to dictate when it is shot, how it is shot, if you can ever speak about it to the public. You are simply just there to show up and say your lines and look the way they want you to look.
The internet, meanwhile, was having a field day. Memes juxtaposing scenes from the original Snow White with Zegler's quotes flooded social media platforms. Video essays analyzing the controversy racked up millions of views. South Park clips continued circulating, with commentators pointing out eerie parallels between the parody and real interviews Zegler had given.
God forbid a woman dream about true love. We're all just sitting around here, maybe I could be president one day. I hate men, I just want to be president. That screams Disney princess. Oh my God, I'm literally getting enraged. Once again, I feel like I'm back in 2022.
For Zegler herself, what should have been a career-defining role was morphing into a potential career liability. Casting agents and producers outside Disney were undoubtedly watching to see how she handled this level of scrutiny and backlash. While some praised her for standing firm in her convictions about modernizing the character, others questioned whether her apparent dismissal of a beloved classic showed poor judgment for someone so early in her Hollywood journey.
Yeah, the entire film's about a love story. It's about a love story because that's what the point of the film is. And I'm sorry that chivalry in a man pursuing you is now deemed as stalking, which now it's kind of making sense why men are opting out of the dating scene.
What made the situation particularly volatile was how it transcended a simple disagreement about a movie remake. For many viewers, the controversy became symbolic of larger cultural debates: tradition versus progress, respect for classics versus the need for contemporary relevance, corporate risk aversion versus creative freedom.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I watched it for the first time in probably 17 years.
Those supporting Zegler championed the idea that fairy tales should evolve with society's values. Those criticizing her position argued that updating classics shouldn't require dismissing their original artistic merit. Both sides dug in their heels as South Park's mockery added fuel to an already blazing fire.
On the original production, I was scared of it. Oh, it was so weird. It was a stalker. Like, I feel like if you are taking on the most iconic Disney role ever. Genuinely, like, this was the most prolific Disney film. I feel like you should kind of have some sort of reverence for the original production.
Disney's response, or lack thereof, to the South Park episode further complicated matters. Executives reportedly worried that acknowledging the parody would only invite more ridicule. Historically, any public condemnation from a target only served to boost the show's comedic brand. Yet the silence fed speculation that the company was in disarray, unable to mount an effective defense of either their film or their star.
In addition to that, there was already an uproar about her being cast as Snow White because she is not Caucasian, she is a Latina, she is half Colombian, and so people were like, why were you cast in the first place? We just had a black Little Mermaid, now we're having a Latina Snow White, and she's literally called Snow White. This doesn't make sense.
Leaks from the production crew painted a picture of a set plagued by tension for months. Multiple rounds of reshoots and rewrites had allegedly been ordered in a desperate attempt to salvage the project's third act. Some anonymous sources claimed entire musical numbers had been cut due to panic over the South Park episode, while others suggested reshoots were scheduled to soften Zegler's portrayal and give more heroic moments to Godot's evil queen. Bob Iger's statements about being more selective about themes that could provoke intense public blowback further fueled speculation that the Snow White meltdown had directly influenced Disney's broader content strategy. Cultural commentators suggested that the entire fiasco underscored a fundamental issue with Hollywood's remake culture, the delicate balance between innovation and respect for tradition. For fans eagerly awaiting the film, the controversy created impossible expectations. Could any movie possibly transcend this level of pre-release drama? Occasionally, productions overshadowed by behind-the-scenes chaos still find an audience if the story, performances, or visuals are strong enough. But each new development, another canceled appearance, another rumor of on-set tension, another comedic jab, shifted attention away from the possibility of quality and toward the spectacle of controversy. The meltdown surrounding Snow White 2025 stands as a case study in how quickly a high-profile project can veer off course. No single factor caused the disaster. It was the perfect storm of an outspoken actress, corporate indecision, alleged co-star friction, and the amplifying effect of satirical comedy. The question remains whether the finished film can overcome its tarnished reputation, or if it will forever be remembered as the project that set off one of Disney's most infamous PR disasters. As the release date approaches, one thing is certain: South Park's brief but devastating parody transformed what might have been a contained controversy into a cultural moment. For Rachel Zegler, for Bob Iger, for Gal Gadot, and for everyone else involved, the shadow of that animated mockery looms large. A reminder of how even the fairest of them all isn't immune to the harsh spotlight of public scrutiny.